Excellent. Welcome to the Enhancing Customer Service Using Chatbots session. This one is brought to you by Carolina's IT. They are a premier provider of technology and cybersecurity solutions, and from their network operations center in Raleigh, they provide service and support across the United States and globally to a variety of organizations of all sizes. Their proactive approach to network monitoring and security, coupled with 24/7, 365 support, helps their clients improve operations and profitability. So today we have Darren Goroski from the city of Goldsboro, and he's going to talk to you about chatbots. So Darren, take it away.
All righty. Let's see if I can take over. All righty. So as Taylor's going to help me out there and let me know you guys seeing my first slide there. Excellent. Alrighty, so it is a little awkward to be, giving a presentation where you're just talking and absolutely nobody's giving any feedback or interacted. And if you guys have ever been to one of the sessions I've done before, I'm very interactive. I really like talking, running around the room, engaging. I talk a lot with my hands. And so me just sitting here talking nonstop without anything is a little odd. So by all means, please use the chat box. I will be hopefully looking at that and seeing what's coming in, and Taylor's going to help me out with that. And we'll get started. All right. All right. So I'm with the city of Goldsboro. I'm a programmer analyst there. I've been there about 6 years. Do a lot of web developing, write a lot of custom in-house programs for different departments to use, police department, fire department, planning, HR, everything. And then one of the things that I do a lot with is our chatbot. And it started a couple of years ago as a way to enhance customer service with the public. We wanted to get more information out there and answer questions, common questions like that. And so it was one of those things where for the first few months, it was like, well, Darren, can you? And so I would just kept experimenting with different technology. And I tried some off-the-shelf stuff, and of course, I ended up writing my own. And that's what I'll be showing a little bit of today, but there's some off-the-shelf stuff that you can use, and we're absolutely going to go into that. One of the other classes that I've taught, if any of you have been there, I did in April, and I did at the last two Nickel Giza, is building a chatbot. And so at the end of this course, if there's time and you really care to stay, we'll build the chatbot live using Amazon Lex all the way through, attach it to a phone number, you can text it, get an answer. And so my goal is to get through this enough to get to that. A lot of people seem to really enjoy that. But let's rock and roll and get started. You'll see me put my glasses on. This is what happens when you get a little old. You have to have glasses to see certain things. And chatbots, and a lot of people say they're artificial intelligence, and they are. They're things that are figuring stuff out on its own, getting back to you. But behind the scenes, it's really just a bunch of if statements. There's not a whole lot more to it than that. I got to move this over here for 1 second. And a lot of people think you have to have a whole bunch of people to write a chatbot. There's some stuff out there I'll tell you about that you can do real easy. Some you just click a button and you have the whole thing. Others, of course, takes quite a bit of work. So if you're going to build one, you need to have somebody who can do that. You need to have a programmer. You need to have somebody who understands a couple different programming languages, really, to get that going. Some sort of server-based language, Perl, Python, or PHP. Then you'll need some sort of query language, almost always SQL, and then some JavaScript. But one of the advantages, the best advantage, is it's completely customizable. Everything you can do, anything you want to do, you can do. You just think of it and you program it in. So you can build all sorts of really cool stuff. Doing something up there in the cloud or doing something that's pre-built, documentation is great. They're pre-built. Click a few buttons and you have a demo. Snatchbot is one of the ones I'll mention later. You literally just hit a button and it imports everything you need. It builds you all the questions and responses, and it's done. And there's some pretty neat things like that. Very difficult to customize. Some are limited in how they can be customized. Some are extremely difficult to customize, but they are customizable. But of course, you can be up and running in just a matter of minutes. So, they're everywhere. They're popping up all over the place. Some people like them, some don't. It's fine. We'll sort of go into a little bit of that later. So if you're going to build a chatbot, and you can build it on your own, of course. And there's a lot of other platforms out there. Two of the more popular ones that you'll hear about are Amazon Lex, and then Snatchbot, and there's a few other. I know there's a couple of Nickel Jesus members who have used Snatchbot before, and of course a few different people have used Amazon Lex. So this is sort of a chart to sort of give you a visual understanding of what it's like, and it's not a complex chart at all. It's just a pretty simple thing. But Snatchbot is not difficult at all. It's not very customizable, but it's really easy to get up and running. Amazon Lex is right there in the middle. You can get it up and running. It doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge or tech skills, but it's a little customizable, but it's sort of in that middle. Of course, if you write your own, it's a whole lot more difficult, but man, the customizations are virtually amazing. And so what a lot of people want to do is then link it to some sort of text-based services or SMS. And Twilio is one of the industry standards, sort of the industry leader out there right now that does SMS and phone calls. And so they're a great company. Their documentation is phenomenal. We're going to use it today at the end to actually build a chatbot, and their examples are amazing. They have some really cool visual building type stuff. If you use them for phone calls, you can build a call tree. Press 1 for this, and then it forwards to this person. Press 2, and it's a visual builder. It sort of looks like it's a Visio type document. Pricing's okay. It's relatively inexpensive to do some of this stuff, but there's cheaper options out there. Absolutely are cheaper options. One of them is a company called SignalWire. I use them for some of our stuff also. They're a lot cheaper, like 8 times cheaper. Literally, slash Twilio's prices by a factor of 8, and you have their prices. However, customer service isn't as good. Their documentation is really poor, but the service works. So, a little bit of both. And so why do we need a chatbot? Well, why do people want them? Why are things going to there? There's a couple of reasons. One, Google is now answering questions. They're not just providing search results. They're actually answering those questions for people. And a lot of people want to just type in a question, and get an answer. They don't want to have to search through Google search results. They don't want to go to other pages to look at it. And Google's putting that answer right up there at the top. So there's some new terms and technology where Google will get your answer right up there at the top. For instance, if you were to do a search for, let's do a brief example here. So if you were to ask Google, what is honey? You're going to get some Google search results, which is exactly what you would expect. If you ask that question a little bit different and say you were to put in where does honey come from, you're actually going to get the answer right at the top. So when people start Googling things, they're not so much just typing keywords the way we did in the late 90s and early 2000s. They're phrasing their questions. And so if you phrase it the right way, you get your answer without having to click on a single thing. And to be honest, that's what people are after. That's what people like. That's what people want. So that's where the trend is moving. And so in order to keep up with that, chatbots that's exactly what they're for. And so when you think about why you need a chatbot or where you can deploy that chatbot, where it's going to work well, you need to think about what are people asking our city or our county that, this information is on the website. You can go there, you can read it. It's on the back of your flyer, it's on the back of your bill. And so you need to think of all those things that people are doing, and they could get that information easier. What utilities do you offer? How do I pay a water bill? Do you offer trash service? Where do I vote? How do I vote? Am I eligible to vote? What do I do if I have a question? When are you open? What time's your building up? What time is it closed? What's the phone number to the manager's office? I want to make a complaint. How do I get there? All of these things, schedules, and who your department heads are, and cancellations. So right now with the coronavirus, stuff is being canceled left and right. And so put up those cancellations. What are some important dates? Stuff like that, deadlines, who's the council member for a specific district, and on and on. And so there's a lot of different stuff that you can make chatbots for. So there's a couple different types of questions. I'm going to sort of group them into 3 categories that'll sort of help us kind of move forward and sort of understand where we're going with this. So your single question and answer, that's like on that previous slide. It's just you ask a question and give you an answer. What time is the building open? Opens at 8 a.m. Is there anything closed because of coronavirus? Yes, this is closed. Where do I vote? Here's where you go to vote. Single question and answers. The other one is multi-part. So a lot of times when people ask questions, you need to get some more information before you can give the answer. And this is sort of what makes chatbots feel like you're actually talking to a human or a real bot, somebody that actually has artificial intelligence, is they're going to ask a question and then you follow it up with, well, I need to know more about that. Or are you talking about this building or this building? And then you can give back the answer. So it's harder to do, but it's what makes your bot a lot more conversational. And so you'll hear that word a lot. Conversational is what makes people feel good. It's a natural back and forth flow. Another type of question is with some sort of integration. So in order for the chatbot to actually learn some some live information or some real information, it needs to be integrated with something. And so there are external APIs that are out there where you can call out, get some information, bring it back. And then of course your city or county may have internal data. You may be able to query your own stuff to get that. Hang on 1/2 second here. There we go. The integration is what's tricky, and that's where it gets really hard. So that first type there, simple question and answers, no problem. That any chat service in the world can do it. You can build one right now with a bunch of if statements. You can do it in JavaScript. You don't even need a server and make it work. Multi-part, you can still do. It's pretty easy. Amazon will do it. Snatchbot will do it. All this stuff will do it. It's the integration where it gets really tricky. But of course, that's the fun. I mean, that's what makes it really fun. So your single question and answer, what are your hours? Oh, the building's open 8 to 5. How can I pay my bill? You pay your bill online or go to www.whateveryouwant.gov. And so those are your simple ones back and forth. The multi-part, this is where, people say, hey, I need to talk to somebody, or I have a complaint, or I have a problem, or I need to do something. Well, okay. Well, what are you calling about? What are you talking about? What are you asking about? What particular topic do you have? And so in this sample, somebody writes about permits. Oh, okay. Well, now I know what you're looking for. I can direct you to that part. Some of the other fun stuff that you can do that is, it definitely takes some work, but this is where chatbots can do, is I have a question. Oh, what's your question about? So there's a multi-part here on jobs. So this person is asking about jobs. And in order to bring that back, governmentjobs.com is what we use. It's NeoGov and governmentjobs.com. I think it's quite common out there, but they have an RSS feed. It's public. Anybody can get it. And so what my code does is just read in an RSS feed. I parse it out and I spit back the answer. And now those jobs are instant. They're up to the minute. If HR updates any sort of job on the governmentjobs.com, it's going to be right here. And so you can also do it internally. So when is my trash day? And so you can put in your address and it's going to give back your trash day. So this data comes from an internal SQL query. Well, we have a database inside the city. We know the trash day for every single address there is. Make a query, give it back. So this one is a fully integrated one, and this is where it gets tough. I don't know that your Amazons and Lex and a lot of the stuff can do stuff like this, but it can. And so this particular one integrates with CityWorks. CityWorks is what our maintenance department uses for their work order system for fixing things around the city. And so as the citizens ask questions or have problems or put stuff in, it asks them questions. Well, where is it? Can you describe it? Do you have any pictures you can send me? And then of course you can notify them when it's done. So we're going to dive into this one a little bit more. I want to show you how this works, but this is one of the best ways that we've sort of leveraged chatbots for customer service within our city. It works really well. So the City of Goldsboro's chatbot is available in a couple different places. Oh, look, there's a shameless plug. I won an award the other month. It's scrolling through on our website. If you do go to our website, I got another slide up here. That's exactly the demonstration that I'm going to give you. So any of our city websites, we've got this down here in the corner, our police website or downtown website, golf course, they all have that down there. And so if somebody has a problem, they can go and say, well, I need to report a problem. And of course, the chatbot's going to come back, hopefully, and say, great, I can help with that. I've got a few questions. Okay, so you can describe the issue. So I'm going to write test in front of mine because this will actually go into our CityWorks database, and our maintenance guys will get this. So I'm going to write tests so they don't actually do anything about it. Yeah, there is a hole in the road. You should fix it. Okay, great. There's my problem I put in. Oh, well, where is it? And there's a couple ways you can do this. There's another company called CityBot. They're out of South Carolina. They do something very similar. And the way they handle it is they actually take that address and then they check it against the legit addresses in the city, similar to the way we do with our trash and recycle scheduling. And so that's one way you can do it. In this case, I want it to be as broad as possible because a lot of people don't know the address, or they're driving down the road and they look and they see a tree down or a huge pothole. Well, they don't know the address. So we sort of just say, well, just give us whatever you know about that. And so around the corner. Okay, great, it's around the corner. And then do you want to be notified? Well, in this particular case, I don't want to be notified. So I write that in. So in a couple seconds, it is now in the CityWorks database. Our maintenance guys got an alert. They've got a ticket made. And if I ever want to call back and ask about it, I can say, well, look, I'm calling about ticket number 3026. What can you tell me about it? And so what's neat, though, and what makes this a little bit more fun is you can do stuff like this. There is a tree in the road, okay? And I'm misspelling things on purpose. I'm not that bad of a typer. There's a tree in the road. So that one I didn't know, but it will get it once you get close. There's a tree in the road. So apparently that one, you gotta be a little more specific. And it's gonna ask you, all right, well, apparently not. Let's see, this road has a lot of potholes. Let's try that one. Great, so I can go, well, never mind. Oh, I don't really want to continue with that. I'm just showing you guys a question. So I can ask it a whole variety type of things, and then this is, you can put in some fun stuff. Someone needs to fix this stoplight. Let's see if I got that one correct. Yep, sure did. So I'm gonna say never mind. I don't want to continue. And so if you do try out our chatbot, and if you get through that process and just kind of want to cancel it, just type never mind or NM, and it'll cancel you out of it. But this right here, this is really cool. This gets the citizens able to submit problems when they see them around the city, the potholes or down trees. Or I actually had one that came in. It was something like this: there was sewage in my yard. I accidentally hit caps lock, but that's okay. There's sewage in my yard. Let me see if it gets that one right. I think and I ended up programming in something special for that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it get going. But the chatbot, of course, will take spelling errors and all sorts of fun stuff. But this right here, this was a sort of a big deal. And I didn't mention earlier, I want to make sure I do, is the chatbot that I'm demonstrating here on the city website is 100% identical, whether it's on SMS over the phone or it's on the website. And later I'm going to kind of talk about the whole SMS thing, but it's available from anywhere. And so the difference, if I were to ask that question on my cell phone, it'll come back and say, great, I can help with that. And so it'll say, please describe the problem. So I'll type in the description, and then it'll say where it is, and I say where it is. And then it says, would you like to be notified? And if I hit yes, it just says, great, thank you. Let's see. Let me show you up. It is big hole in road. Show you what happens at the end of this. It's over there. And I do want to be notified. So it's going to ask me, well, how do you want to be notified? So I'm going to put in my work number. If I were on my cell phone and it says, do you want to be notified? And I write, yes, it's done. I've already got the citizen's cell phone number. I don't need to ask them any other questions. What'll happen is on the cell phone, after they do that last step, it will then say, hey, send us in some pictures. And if they just take some pictures of their phone and send them right there over text to that same number, it'll recognize that that citizen put in a complaint, and it will then attach those pictures right to the work order. So when our maintenance staff goes to pull it up, they can see the photos that the citizen submitted. Pretty neat. I'm going to pause right there. One, to get another sip of water, but if you have any questions about some of that stuff that I've talked about already, it's a lot of stuff. And like I said, this is difficult not being able to see you. I can't see everybody's your head's nodding and stuff. So I'm going to take a pause for 30 seconds or so. And if you have some questions, please ask them or let me know, or maybe something I need to repeat. My daughter's a freshman at App State, so this is my favorite mug. Of course, she's not at App State. They closed down, but still is my favorite mug. All right, well, nothing yet. You guys are engaged, not engaged, watching something else, really enjoying it, taking notes. Hopefully any of those is what's going to happen, but I don't mind. I'm going to keep talking. Taylor or whoever else want to stop me.
Hey,
I appreciate
Darren,
that.
we just had a question come in from Hardick.
Okay.
What does supporting the chatbot look like from an IT perspective?
Just like anything that involves something public facing to the front, you've got to have good content. So if I'm answering questions about where do you need to call for this, I got to make sure that's current. You know, the chatbot will come back with links. Let's see, do you have the personnel policy? I'll butcher that spelling. And so it may only come back if I'm an employee. So I have a lot of links in there where it'll give back links. You got to make sure that those links are current. And so I've written something on the back end that sort of helps make those links current. So you have to keep that stuff up. There's a link, and it went to the travel policy. So there's one that I got wrong, and that's okay. That happens quite often. So what I do is I go in periodically, or well, daily, and I look at the question and answers that are happening. I can see the conversations that people are having, and I can start tweaking the chatbot. So for instance, we put in a bunch of questions about trees down and potholes and stoplights, and we thought we were done. And one of the first questions that came in after we put it out there was, I have sewage in my yard. And so we had to tweak some of the questions and answers to accommodate that. So it's constantly adding more and more questions. So this is one that I wrote myself. So we can add new questions and answers in all the time, and it just grows and grows and grows. What do you know? Let's see, it should come back and tell us about what it knows. So there are 28,668 different questions that I programmed into that chatbot. And I didn't type them all one by one. I wrote some really cool little scripts that sort of take your common phrases and switch the words around and sort of, you know, if you have a question that you word in one way, I can make it show up a bunch of different ways. For instance, what do you know? Do you know anything? Hopefully we'll get that same answer. No, apparently not. How much do you know? And so the idea is I need to sort of think about all the different ways people may ask a question. And so essentially I've come up with 28,668 ways for them to ask a whole variety of questions. And so I'm constantly going in there and tweaking that. And if we have time, I'll get that out and show you, but I also built in a way where it learns on its own. And this is, is it really artificial intelligence? Sort of. I think it is, but it's not really. You know, there's as people ask questions, that number is going to keep growing because it's going to learn as people are asking questions about this, and it doesn't really know the answer, but everybody keeps asking about it. It will eventually learn that answer, and they can give it out to the next citizen or the next person that asks. So it actually does grow on its own. I think I'll show you later how many questions learned all on its own. But that's what's kind of fun. So it is some work to keep it up. I can go in every day, and I can sort of see the conversations that are happening. I can sort of see how many times people are getting answers that didn't make sense. And that's all because I wrote it internally. So awesome. So can the chatbot use geolocation? Yes. So I have not programmed it in the chatbot for the citizens because it's using text messaging. over SMS, it's just a message that I can't really use any sort of geolocation. I wrote another sort of app for our public works guys where they're using the chatbot to submit work orders just like this. And so when they're going and submit that work order and take that photo, it is geolocating where they are. And so now the work order system has the incident, the issue, has the photo, and the geolocation data automatically. So yeah, absolutely, you can do the geolocating if you are, if it's an app or if it's some sort of web-based, browser-based, but you can't do it directly through text messaging. Great question. How long did it take to build a database for this? You know, it took a long time to get things where it needed to be, and so now that it's done, I just keep adding more stuff to it. So adding question and answers, I can add hundreds or thousands at a time, and it grows. So the database, you just got to figure out what to put in it. The whole process was about 2 years. It took about 4 or 5 months before I sort of had it right, and then I tweaked it for another few months, and then we sort of grew it and went out to departments and sort of started feeding in questions and answers. Can it alert different departments as a PD? Yeah, so that is a great question. That's a whole other topic. I wrote this whole other program, part of the chatbot, and I'll demo it briefly here, that does exactly that. And so we can basically take all of our police officers, put their phone numbers in a group, and then the chatbot can send a message, and a text message will instantly go out to all of those police officers. And so we launched that with them. We launched that with the fire department. Actually, just sort of working on that this week, almost ready to launch it. It works really well, sort of, because you can do it right there in the chat bot. If you're somebody that has the permission, you can say, hey, I want to send a message to, you know, city employees, to IT staff, to the police department, and you can send to the whole group. The issue has to do with the TCPA and privacy. So you, me, all of us, we hate telemarketers. And so the telemarketing has gotten so bad over text messaging that when I try to send a text message from my computer, our server, to our employees or to our citizens, to police officers, to whoever, the cell companies shut it down and say, no, we're not going to send it. Because what they see is they see a computer sending a message, the same message, to 85 different numbers. Well, that looks like spam. And so it's been this huge industry switch over the last couple of years that stuff isn't working anymore because it's being blocked as spam. So I've had hundreds of messages blocked as spam, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the two ways around that is you get an 800 number, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But if you send a message from an 800 number, they are restricted, less restricted, and those messages will go through. The ultimate answer is you get a short code. You buy a short code, you can then mass send out thousands of messages, all you want, to anybody, and it works perfect. So Dave asked a great question. I'm going to get to that one in a minute. Taylor's taking care of that one. So yeah, so the short code is great. I can't wait till we can get our own, and then I can start ramping up that messaging system, because we built a system where people can subscribe to events at our theater. They can subscribe to downtown events. They can subscribe to emergency alerts and so on. And so our employees can then go right here in our chat bot. For instance, I can just say, let's see, at IT, this is a test message. And what will happen is anybody that's in the group IT that we created is going to get a text message. It's not going to work right now because of the reasons I was telling you. They're all being blocked right now. And so until we get a short code to change that, it's not going to go through. So that's a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you. Who asked that one? That was the alert different from Chris. Yeah, we can definitely talk more about that, because we're doing some pretty neat stuff with that. So how many chat questions come in daily? Well, so we've launched it publicly a couple months ago on the website with no fanfare. We didn't tell anybody about it. We didn't do any marketing. We just sort of stuffed this chatbot on the website, and we started getting 100 or so a day. People asking questions, little interactions or so through text message, or 100 through this or through that. We just started as of Monday actually doing a real marketing campaign. So that was one of the slides you saw. We're going to start a little marketing campaign and actually put that stuff out there. I would say half our incoming questions are coming from employees, which I'll talk about in a little bit more, and then from the public. And so But I'll pull up a statistics page that'll show you. And so it's kind of neat because we're in no marketing whatsoever, and we're still getting hundreds of questions. So that's kind of neat. All right, let's get back to.
Had another question come in
Yeah.
under the Q&A from Kevin Gates. Wanting to know, do you have any data percentages of resolution time and customer happiness since you went live?
That's a great question. I do not have that yet. We probably have some of that with our maintenance department and those work orders that we're submitting, but probably not. We do not have enough data yet. So no, I do have some small data with our employee type stuff, but no, I wish I had some of that data. And within 6 months from now, 12 months from now, I will have a whole lot more data and some really interesting statistics. Now, I have those statistics, and I'll show them to you. They're not that impressive yet, just based on the quantity of the stuff that's out there. So Nick Gaster is in Lee County. I don't know if he's on this one or not. I can't see the list. But if any of you guys know Nick in Lee County, he attended the session that I did. The last one of these I did, I believe it was in Asheville. It could have been a year ago in Wilmington. And he went and ran with it. And he built a chatbot on Amazon Lex in about 2 days, put in some questions, and then put it out there on their website. This was right about the primary this year. This was March. This was a couple months ago this happened. And over the course of the few days that he had out there, he had about 500 messages, 500 different interactions with citizens. And the amount of time that saved their the people answering those phones within the voting board or at the city office, I'm not sure, cut way down because they were using that. So he did this amazing thing. He just programmed in about 5 or 6 simple question and answers, and he had over 500 responses over the next couple of days. So if you have an opportunity to talk to him, absolutely get in touch with him. He did a really good job. So employees absolutely have questions too, and so why not answer for them? And so they're while I deal with customer service to the public, which we do in a couple different ways, and I also we're in IT, city employees, they're our customers. So I realize we have access to some pretty cool data when it comes to employees, so why not give that data out? So employees can ask, when's payday? When's the next payday? Are we off for Christmas? What holidays are we off? And then the really cool stuff here is, can you unlock my account? So we use Active Directory. So through the chatbot, the employee can send a text message in that says, unlock me, or my account's locked, something like that. They can ask how much vacation they have left. They can say, what's my pay? What's my start date? What's my salary? So because I have access to that data internally, I can export that out of our servers, and now my chatbot knows those answers. So the employees can now get some really cool information right from the chatbot. So let me show you a couple things. So I'm going to switch this to this screen here. It's the chatbot. It just brings it right into the center and just makes it a little easier to see. Exact same chatbot. But so the chatbot has to know who you are in order to give you back that personalized data. So in this case, it knows that. And then if you're going to write a chatbot, you got to do some fun stuff with it. From now on, call me Darren the Quizzard. Yeah, that's good. And so it's going to know who that. So if I were to ask it, oh, didn't know. Let's see. From now on, call me Dave. There you go. Okay, so now if I say who am I, it's going to know who I am. I want you, I'm going to make spelling errors on purpose, forget my name. And so you got to build this is what's making it conversational, and this is what makes it a little bit more fun. Oh, never mind, I want you back. Forget my name. And it should, let's see, great. But because I'm logged in, it knows who I am. So because I'm an employee, I'm going to turn this on. This is just a code that I put in that says, hey, Darren, I know you're doing a demonstration for other people, so we're not going to give out your personal information. But because I wrote this, I can do stuff like that. And so what's my salary? When is my start date? And I'm butchering these on purpose. Do I have any vacay time? Right? So our employees can ask these questions, and they do a lot. can you unlock my account? Now, this you have to do over a cell phone because you obviously won't be logged into a computer to do this, but if they text it from their cell phone, it's either going to say, A, great, I unlocked your account, or it's going to say, B, like it did here, I just checked and your account wasn't locked. Well, that's wonderful. And so that feature right there is amazing. And so then I went a little step further because I think Brad is in this class right here. He works with me. And so I told him about this really cool thing I did. And instead of saying, geez, Darren, that's awesome. Instead of saying yes and, just like Avish did this morning, instead of saying yes and, it would be so cool if you can do this, he went, yes, but can you do this? And so I had this awesome idea and I unlocked people's account, and he came in and says, well, can we unlock theirs for them? So I had to go back to the drawing board and I wrote some more code, but it turned out to be one of the most useful things. So if I'm logged in as me, or if I do it from my cell phone, and a police officer, an inspector, if somebody calls me and says they're locked out of their account, I can go onto the chatbot. This is Brad, who I was just talking about, and I can tell it, hey, I need you to unlock somebody. Well, it's going to tell me Brad wasn't locked, which is great, but I can unlock any city employee. And it also says there, I just created you a ticket. So that sends an email with a specific subject line to a specific address that goes right into our IT work order system. So when I go into work the next morning or I get back to the office, I'm going to have a help desk ticket telling me that I unlocked Brad's account. I can then sort of close that out and move on. So that was kind of neat that we put that in there. So let's see. So now it's back to me. Before I go on to the next part, I have a trivia question. If you were to write a chatbot and you wanted to test that chatbot, what is the best way you could possibly use to test it? And by that, what I'm saying is I'm not looking for a real answer. What would be the most fun you can think of to use a chatbot for? Anybody have an idea? Brad's on, he's gonna know the answer. So, do you like the Office? So, if you go to our chatbot on any city website or on our phone number, and you ask it if you like the Office, you're gonna get a different Office quote time after time after time. So this was actually the very first thing I wrote, because if you're gonna test a chatbot, you need to do this. And so I wrote this, I brought it home, I told my kids and their friends went out and they started trying it, and it worked. It was my test case. And so that was really cool. So have fun with it. If you want to get an Office quote, great, go ahead and ask it to get an Office quote. All righty. So what I'm going to, I'm going to pause, do some questions and stuff, and then I'm sort of going to move into the next part where we'll build a little bit of it. But I wanted to show you a couple things that I can do. So by all means, think of some questions, write some stuff in. Another neat thing you can ask it is, what's the weather? And so this is an API. This was the first API that I wrote. Well, I didn't write the API, but I wrote the call to it. And so when somebody asks that question, it goes out to a website that sends it, hey, I need to go weather for Goldsboro, brings back the data, I parse it, I spit it back out. And so this was my test case to see, I wonder if I can reach out to an external source and get some data. So I did. And so now from that, I'm working on more and more integrations. This was sort of one of the first things I did before I then was able to integrate into CityWorks for our maintenance stuff. So that was kind of neat. Another really common question that I think a lot of the public asks is, let's see. So we get questions like this: who's the council member for a specific district? And it's going to come back with council member. If you don't ask it about a specific district, it'll come back and ask you, well, great, go ahead and tell me your address. So if you notice what I just typed there, what I typed was complete gobbledygook. That does not make any sense. It's just like Google. It doesn't care about spelling errors. And really, if you're a tech person, all I'm doing is running a similarity between this phrase and the phrase that I have stored in my database. And it just runs a similarity function on it. And if it's within close enough, it says, yeah, that's probably what they meant. But that's about all it is. So when you give an address, let's see, 1501 Maple Street, and of course you don't spell that right either, it'll get it close. It gives you a bunch of information about it. Let's see, let me see if I ask it again without the prompt. So if I ask it without the prompt, it actually gives me more information. It says, here's pretty much everything we know about your address. So for kind of something neat. Another neat thing you can do is we get a lot of calls in IT about, hey, I want to get my email set up on my phone or my iPad, or how do I do this? Well, it's not that it's hard, and it's definitely not that hard for us in IT, but it's very difficult for a lot of employees to get the server, the domain, if your username is different than your email, which in some cases it is for us. And we're not using, we're doing our own Exchange server in-house, and so sometimes it's a little bit tricky for some of our stuff. So if they were to text it, if they were to text the chatbot that question, because the chatbot knows who they are, it's going to come back with some sort of custom information. Well, hopefully it does. There it is. And so it gives you the instructions, and then right from their phone, you can do it on the web too, like I'm going to do, but from the phone, you click something like this, and it takes a screenshot, and it shows you, hey, this is what you want your screen to look like. And the chatbot automatically fills in their email address because I know who they are. It fills in all the information except for their password. Obviously, I don't know what their password is. But now I can help that employee out. So when employees are asking questions like that, or we're setting some up for that stuff for them, and then, hey, can I get it on my phone? I say, yeah, hold on, let me show you something. So I give them the chatbot number. I say, just ask it a question, and they start the conversation. And so in order to get verified who you are for our employees, they have to tell it, hey, you have to know who I am. And the way we do that is they'll tell the chatbot, I need to log in. Chatbot come back with, great, who are you? It'll say, what's your username? You put your username in. It then sends you a link. And the reason it sends you a link for your password is security, because I could absolutely, and I did it, where it'll just say, what's your password? You type in your password, and now it knows who you are. It now links your city Active Directory account with that phone number. But text messaging is not super secure. And so when we do the password part, what I do is it sends you a link. It jumps you to a secure website. You type in your password. As soon as it gets that correct, now the back end, I know your phone number and that password match. So now I know you're an AD. It then sends you a text right back, which brings you back into your phone, and now it knows who you are. And so once it knows who you are, well, now I got a bunch of cool stuff I can do. They can get their vacation, their salary, and so on. And it's kind of funny. The City of Goldsboro is going through a salary pay study. And so we've enlisted some outside company, our HR department has, and they've been for months now been researching this. And the other night at our council meeting, they came back and gave a presentation. And they said, most people are at this, a lot of people are going to go up a percent or up a grade or so on. And I went on, and when I looked the next day, that night before, there was a couple different people who had asked the chatbot, what's my salary? What's my pay grade? So they were watching, and they sort of wanted to get that information. Thought that was kind of neat. So this is another one that's really neat. So does anyone know the answer to that question? Anybody want to type that question into the chat? All right, good job, Kevin. So who shot first? Hand. So any question that we have in the chatbot, if I give somebody permission, they can update that question. So if you have an employee that works with your Parks and Rec department or in your inspections department, what is a business registration? Let's see if that one's in there. All right, let's go back to who shot first because that's more fun. Who short first? See if that gets that right. So what the employee can do if they have the right permission is they can say, hey, I need to change that answer. And of course, you can do this right from your phone. So if you're putting out updated information about coronavirus and things are changing all the time, well, you don't want your PIO or somebody in your manager's office to have to come to IT to get stuff updated on the chatbot. So if the scruffy guy, so if I change that answer, now anybody who asks that chatbot anywhere is going to get that. Need to change that answer. Look at that, butcher that. Let's see if it gets that, figures that one out. Great. So I want it back to hand. So let's see. So what's closed? So let's see. So we've got some special things out there right now, just like all of you, special hours, special times that we are closed. So somebody asks our chatbot, what's closed or what is the coronavirus? They're going to get an answer. Well, our PIO can be working on this and go, okay, I got a new answer now. She can then tell the chatbot, hey, I need to update that answer. She just types in what the new answer is going to be, and now that answer is updated. So you can have your employees be able to update answers from anywhere. There's absolutely no excuse. They can be on vacation in Mexico, log in and do it via the website here or from their phone anywhere over SMS, and they can update that. So that was sort of a nerf herder, yeah. Who you calling Scruffy? That's the line. So that was sort of a really neat thing that we put in there. All right. So just about done with that part of it. Let's see. Let's finish. So I'll show you some statistics. So all of this is stuff I wrote internal. Somebody asked me about what technology. Amazon Lex is something I'm going to demo, but I'm not using it. I am. This is 100% written in-house, 100% written in PHP using MySQL and JavaScript. So everything is written in-house. So over the last 10 minutes, all right, we've got nothing over the last 10 minutes. That's awesome. So over the last 10 hours, we've had 47 questions that were asked that we knew the answer to, 17 we didn't. So this is just stuff that I've written in, statistics to help me figure it out, where it's coming in on what website and so on. And all of this stuff is done with essentially no marketing, no nothing. Now, because I really wanted good data, none of these numbers include anything that I write in. Because I'm asking my chatbot hundreds of questions a day as I'm testing it, and it excludes everything if it knows it's coming from myself. So let's see if it's got anything here. Nothing there. So this is the fun one here. So this is questions it's learned on its own. So the chatbot automatically, like I said earlier, will figure out what people are asking. So if here, will my water get cut off if I can't pay due to COVID-19? Well, that's our answer. We put that out there, but this question was not one that I programmed in. So it learned it on its own. So this is all the stuff it learned on its own. It's kind of neat how it's done. Phone calls. Our chatbot does phone calls also. When, like, for instance, when we did when the coronavirus first came out and we shut stuff down using Twilio, we send a call out to everybody that's in our database for our water billing system. And so it absolutely will make phone calls. And the cool thing about it is I built it right into this. So when it was time for our PIO to get that information out, all that PIO had to do is do this. Now this, whatever name I made. So this would be a hashtag that I made specific for her. I said, listen, all you got to do is say call hashtag, it was coronavirus 2020 or something like that. And then she would literally write something like this. This is the city of Goldsboro calling. We're calling to tell you that we're being shut down, blah, blah, blah. And then when she sends that to the chatbot goes in and made 6,800 phone calls to everybody, and it plays that message. So we don't have code red system. We're not the county. The county has the ability to do that. We don't, and with the city. So we wrote one through the chatbot that will do that. So I thought that was kind of neat. Let's see if there's any other, do some live feed stuff. So this is some top secret stuff also I can see. So I can see in the last, so far today, here are all the different conversations that have come in. And so this right here is me. You can see all the stuff that I've been putting in. But I can use all this stuff to see. So here's an employee who asked what pay grade they're on. Of course, I'm not going to show it here at any of our staff. They're not going to see it. And you can do all sorts of, I can see different conversations, and I can see stuff they're getting right and wrong and so on. So this was a sort of a new thing that I just put in recently, but I can do some searches if people are asking about Corona over the last couple days. So 2 different people have asked about it recently. So like I said, it's only been public recent. So there's not some tremendous amount of data, but I have it. I can't wait for a few months to go by where I can really get some of this good data out of it. So that's some pretty neat stuff right there. I had one other neat thing I was going to tell you guys about before going to the demo, but maybe not. You guys have any questions? Any questions on some of this stuff? Go ahead, Taylor.
We've had some questions come in under the Q&A.
Oh, yeah?
One of the first ones was along the lines of what kind of CPU, memory, storage, network resources does it use?
It's just using a Windows web server over and using IIS and a MySQL database. There's really not a whole lot to it otherwise. All right.
And another one, does Amazon Lex provide analytics, allow A/B testing?
They provide analytics. Amazon absolutely does, has an analytics. You can see all sorts of, I don't know all their terminology, but you can see the questions that came in. You can see the percentage it got it right. You can do all that stuff. Yeah, Amazon does have that. Good question. I did, of course, I wrote my own, but Amazon does that. Any other questions, Taylor?
And one more.
Yeah.
Do your Amazon Lex chats ask for ratings, review of the chats when the customer is done to see if it's working
not sure.
effectively?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't built one in Amazon Lex. I built some demos, and we'll do that here in a moment. I'm going to send this link out. So if you are let me change that from panelists to attendees. So if you write code, this chatbot right here is written in 100% in JavaScript, so you can see everything. And so if I were to ask, what's your favorite, oh, that's fine, I'm going to misspell it on purpose, favorite movie. So you can see the potential questions are here. This is the answer. And what the chatbot is doing is it's comparing this phrase, one letter at a time, to the phrases that I have built into it. So when it determines that the question I'm asking is within over 80% of likelihood, it's going to give back that answer. So if you like code, it's right here. You can actually go in and see the JavaScript that I wrote to create this chatbot. So if you like code, that's great. All right, so I've got 7 minutes. I'm wondering, should I try to do the build one in real time? What do you guys think? All right, well, I'm going to do it. And then, so let's see. Spring bot. Let's see, I don't have a voice. Sure, 5. No, none. Create. All right, I'm gonna speed through this. Create an intent. Let's see. Movie. All right, sample utterance. What's your favorite movie? The answer, of course, is going to be Star Wars. I'm going to save that intent. Normally, I walk through, we spend a whole 45 minutes talking about all these steps, but I am just going through this quickly just to show you how easy it is to get a bot up and running. Okay, so now I need to get this bot connected to Twilio. So I have so I don't know. Oh, I have to hang on. I got to go back and It didn't do this. Spring. I don't even know if I have to do this. I don't remember what that is. There we go. I had to do that. So now I'm going to connect it to my Twilio account. Okay, there's my connection to Twilio. I now need this information right here. This is how Twilio is going to use this chatbot. But of course, I need to move the picture out of the way. I have to build it. So while that's building, I'm going to log into Twilio. This is a lot of fun. Let's see. I need to buy another phone number. I want it to be a 919 number. Great. Goldsboro, look at that. There's one available. I'm going to buy that number. Yep. I just bought it. It costs $1. And what I need to do is when somebody texts this number, somebody texts this number here, wherever the number is, it is going to do this webhook to this address from Amazon Lex that I just had. So somebody get your phone out because you're going to test this for me in a moment. All right, so that is saved. Go back to Amazon. I'm going to publish it. And then go ahead, let's give it a try. So I'm going to send a text message to 919-750-8662. And I'm going to say, what did I ask it? What's your favorite movie? Oh, Spills of Spring already exists. Oh, come on now. What was it that I had to change? Huh. Well, we're not going to be able to demo it in the next 2 minutes unless I figure out what in the world to do, which part of this I got to change. See, that's what happens when I did it too quick. All right. May not get it done in the next 2 minutes. All right, now that we've done that, let's see, string alias, hot version, latest, add tags. I don't think I have to add a tag. Okay, so now we need, let's see, string Twilio. I don't have an alias in there. I didn't hit the right thing. String alias, I had to do that. All right, so I'm rushing through it. I can't get it to work. I'm missing a step, but we're going to go back and do this one. So this one's already working. So we're going to go Twilio. Let's see, Twilio demo. Sure. All right. So I'm going to copy that one. So this one is different. So this one, we have to ask it, where can I pay my water bill? The answer is going to be downtown. So I'm going to go back to this one, paste in that new one, save it, publish. I have to build it first. All right, we're less than 60 seconds away then. So now if we send that number a message that says, only takes a long time when people are watching, that's just how it works. So we're going to ask it, where can I pay my water bill? Pay my water bill. As soon as this is published. Great. Now let's see if that works. If you got your phone out, you can try it. 7508662. This is the number. So I need to turn off my virtual background. There we go. So if you haven't tried it yet, you can say, ask it the question, and the answer comes back. That's all there is to it. The only thing you then have to do is you have to go in here and start putting in more and more questions. But in 8 minutes or so, I built the chatbot, start to finish, sort of. It broke, and I had to use this other one that I built just the other for the other training. But you can see I only had done one extra question in it. But that's it. I'll stay in this meeting for a little while. You can go to the virtual exhibit hall. Please ask me questions. I think, Taylor, we can turn mics on if anybody actually had something they want to ask, but I'm going to stay right here. By all means, ask me something. I'll show it to you. Try some stuff.
That was a lot of great information, Darren.
It was a lot. I love it. I'm passionate about it. There's a lot of things you can do with it. I hope if I've done anything, I've just sparked some interest. But by all means, please.
And for those of the attendants still in the room, we thank you for taking the time to join this session today. And please be sure to visit the virtual exhibit hall and talk to all the different business partners out there.
And Taylor, thank you. You did a great job as room host. I will give you 5 stars.
Thank you, Darren.
For those of you that are still here, if you do download the app, there is a way you can go in there and rate it. At the end of this, please give feedback. If you give any, let me know how I'm doing. I sometimes talk a little fast. Let me know that. You want to see more detail, or you want to see more trainings similar to this, or maybe more expanding on it. Like I said, I've done a whole class where all we do is build it. We build one in Snatchbot, we build one in Amazon Lex, and then we actually build one using PHP. We actually build a custom one that comes right back to our server. So a lot of neat stuff. At least I think it's neat. So. There we go. That's what I should have had up the whole time. All right. I don't see any other questions. I guess I'll stay here until the last person leaves. And I guess the few people that were still in it, maybe I put you to sleep. You'll wake up, be all right. Dwindling on right down. All righty. Uh-oh. I think I see my boss in this class. Hope I did good. Oh, I think my boss might be the very last participant. Wait for everybody to leave. Even Taylor left. Nope, Taylor's still here. Nate, thank you from UNC. All righty. Well, I am going to bug out then